Alright, so taking two here on this video because apparently on the last one my volume wasn't quite working. So what I'm doing here is I'm recording over what I've already done, but this time hopefully with volume. So yeah, you can see here we're doing niche features, technologies, part 4, and here we're going to be talking about the biotic deck. So we've already done the other 3 decks, mainly speaking, those were cybernetics, which is the yellow deck, propulsion, the blue deck, and warfare, the red deck, right? So yeah, we're going to be going over the green deck today, the biotic technology deck, the common cards, and well, most of these cards are passive in the sense that they are automatically done for you. So I'll be detailing all the cards, but I'm only really going to be showcasing one of them, which is X Bacterial Weapon, X89 Bacterial Weapon, right? So yeah, the cards like, for example, Sarween Tools, they're passive in the sense that when you're using them, you don't have to actually double click them, right? Whereas something like transit diodes, you have to remember to use it. You have to double click it at the appropriate stage in the game in order to then decide which infantry you want to move from planets to other planets, right? But the biotic deck is completely passive. You'll never have to double click them to use them. So, well, let's begin by looking at this game that I got set up here. And we're playing the Federation of Soul, and we've researched all 4 of the biotic technologies. So we'll start looking at Neural Motivator, and if you've seen previous videos of the series here, you've probably seen Neural Motivator happen during the status phase where you draw 2 action cards instead of 1. So that's automatically going to happen there. Yeah, because normally during the status phase you just draw the 1 card, but now you get 2 with Neural Motivator. Then we have Dax of Animators, which reads that after you win a ground combat, you may place 1 infantry from your reinforcements on that planet. Now, the wording of the card here does say you may place 1 infantry, but we went ahead and decided that it's going to be the case that you always get the 1 infantry. And we just thought that there didn't seem to be any benefit to giving the user the option. Like, why would you never want to place an extra infantry on a planet, right? Because the other downside to making this like an active card that you have to double click is it could be really easy to forget to use it after you win a ground combat, right? Now, I could be wrong. There could be some situation where, you know, maybe it would be advantageous to not place that infantry. And if you think of one, please let us know down in the comment section below. Because yeah, we're always open to this feedback of this sort, and then we would consider potentially changing that feature. But as it is right now, this is going to be completely passive. So after you have ground combat and you win, so you have at least 1 infantry on the planet, you'll notice that automatically you'll get a 2nd infantry now, or an additional to however many you have. Alright. But yeah, you have to win the combat, right? If the combat ends in like a tie and nobody has any infantry left, you don't get it. Well, let's move on to hypermetabolism here. So another straightforward one that you've probably seen already. It reads that during the status phase, you gain 3 command tokens instead of 2. Now, there previously was like a typo on this card in the actual like physical card where it would say gain 2 command tokens instead of 1, but the default you gain is 2, right? So yeah, we've updated this card with the relevant fix. And of course, this happens during the status phase, and you'll also take note here that if you're playing as the Federation of Soul, that this actually gets added on in addition to your faction ability, right? So if we look at that here, if we look at Versatile, you gain, when you gain command tokens during the status phase, gain 1 additional command token. So that's going to happen on top of this, right? So you normally gain 2 tokens, but then you gain the 3rd, plus the one from Versatile makes 4, right? So yeah, that's hypermetabolism. And then finally, the technology we're going to be showcasing here is X89 bacterial weapon, and it's the 3rd tier tech in the biotic deck, the final tech, and it reads that after 1 or more of your, well, okay, before I read it, just notice how the texture of the cards looks a little different, and that's just because X89 bacterial weapon recently went under a change. So this card here is just a different texture because we took it from the update. So it doesn't mean anything special. I know when we were doing the play test yesterday, someone thought that it meant that like you had the card and the other ones where you didn't have them yet because they were kind of dulled out. But no, it's just the texture right now that hopefully we can synchronize at some point in the future. Let's go ahead and read it. So X89 bacterial weapon. After 1 or more of your units use bombardment against a planet, if at least one of your opponent's infantry was destroyed, destroy all of your opponent's infantry on that planet. Right. So we're going to showcase this here. And just to show you how it happens passively, right? You don't have to worry about utilizing the card. So in a moment here, I think we'll bring up the board. Yeah, so here we are playing as the Federation of Soul, and you can see it's our turn to perform bombardment in the active system, and you can see the active system is currently the highlighted tile. That's kind of a new feature here. And within the active system, we have 3 of our dreadnoughts. Each has a bombardment value of 5. Right. And we also see that in the Welland system, we have 9 infantry, Bernie of Letnev infantry. So quite a bit of infantry. Now, right, the way this is going to work is when we perform our bombardment here, we just need to hit 1, and then because of X89 bacterial weapon, all of the infantry will be destroyed. So, we can hit a maximum of 3, which would reduce the infantry on the planet to 6, but our card here will be able to handle the rest for us. So let's go ahead and commit these dreadnoughts for bombardment to Welland. Alright, so we got all our 3 of our dreadnoughts ready for bombardment, and you can notice that there's 9 infantry, and now we've used bombardment and produced a total of 2 hits. So typically now you'd see the infantry be reduced from 9 to 7, right? But we're going to go ahead here and look at the roll summary. And we're going to see that X89 bacterial weapon should show that all the infantry on the planet are actually going to be wiped out, right? So you can see on the planet's surface, the infantry icon has been replaced with a control token, showing us that all the infantry are indeed gone. So that's a good start. And then on the surface, if we try clicking it, no infantry show up. So they're all gone, right? So let's go ahead and check out the role summary. And you can see that we have one dreadnought that produced one hit, and we have the modifiers here, X89 bacterial weapon, right? So if you're wondering why all your infantry just got wiped out because only 2 dreadnoughts hit, you actually see under the role summary that X89 bacterial weapon has been applied, right? So we have the relevant modifier there to show us what happened. Then we see the other dreadnought missed and this dreadnought hit, and they all show the X89 bacterial weapon modifier, even though the modifier only takes place once. It's not like it happens for all 3 of the ships, right? It's just there to show, yeah. So yeah, that's takes care of the infantry on Welland, and if we had any infantry now, we could commit them there for free to take the planet, but we don't. So yeah, that's a X89 bacterial weapon, and that's the biotic deck. So again, they're all passive cards, and this is a nice feature of the app, right? The ability to automatically handle this for you, I think is good. Actually, yesterday we just gonna pause the video here. Yesterday we were, well, I guess now 2 days ago. Yesterday, from when the first time I recorded this video, we went through a play test, and I think it went quite well. We had a new player who had never played Twilight and Imperium before, and the automation seemed to really be like a positive thing for this player's experience, at least, right? It was something originally that I was wondering how it was going to pan out, because the whole learning experience, I don't know if it was going to be like better to have it automated, or you want to like actually be inside like a game that isn't automated and be vulnerable to making all the little like rule mistakes, right? So I think there's advantages to both ways, but I think we got a lot of positive feedback from the little session there. The other thing, I'm getting a little off topic here, but the other thing is we were talking about possibly implementing like a do-over. So if you're a new player, right, and you like made a mistake, you activated a system and you realized you can't move ships into that system, perhaps having the option to revert the state of the game to the previous state just before that activation was made, right? And we were talking about having maybe a majority vote for that. So if the majority of players vote for the for the do-over, then you would allow it. Otherwise, there would be no do-over. But anyways, yeah, that's a story for another time. But we'll stop it here, and I think that's the end of the technologies. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.